the Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ. We live. Yeah, there we go. Oh, so that was good. So y'all didn't hear okay, good. The sound should be on now. Let me see. No sound still. Check. Yeah, the sound should be good now. Microphone check. Ooh, about to bust out a little something. Don't play. We still got beatboxes on deck. All right. So we live, right? And I think I started a little panic, which is good. Wasn't meant though. I didn't mean to start any panic. I appreciate the passion though. Okay. So these are the books. These right here. Actually, I'm missing something. Where's the Rich Abs, Poor Abs? I'm missing Rich Abs, Poor Abs. It's floating around somewhere. But no, we will not be going into all of those books today. Actually, we might go through them, but that's not what we're reviewing. Right? That is not what we're reviewing. Yeah, all the answers was provided while I was on mute by mistake. Yeah. No. We just for the most part, I just wanted to review the cornerstones of this. There's a lot of information in this book, but it's not, you don't have to have it all memorized. It's continual study, right? It's continual study. It is continuous study. This book is for continuous study. After I'm long dead and gone in 100 years, I hope people are still studying this book. Right? So I don't want to, I just want to make sure that we have a few main basic key, so we'll give folks a chance to jump over, and we'll play something. Yeah, we gotta play something. We can, we gotta play something to, get the, get the energy. We gotta play something to get the energy going. You know what I'm saying? gotta play something. Maybe we should go into the Jesus music somewhere. I know what's always a good song to get the energy right. Let me see. Let me just go in here. Let me just go in here and see if I can find it in the playlist. Oh, just start it up with that. That is a good idea.
We here. Time to make magic, baby. Rolling through the sand like a thought in disguise. The scarab spins truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl. The Beatles.
All right, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this.
I'm atheist. It's not that hard. Your arms just too short to box with
I teach better, I rather speak better, eat better, sleep better, counteract disease better. I earn you fleece cheddar. I'm in the quantum mechanics planet. You can't stand it, you frantic panic. I can even recite Sanskrit. My mother played jazz, I heard Coltrane in the stomach. I was born into it, I ain't stumbled upon it. I came from under, now the boy above it. From the same place where Malcolm and Martin and James Baldwin got their name from. A young Diabolus of Alexandria, dressed in all black like I'm flying a TIE fighter. The lightsaber sharper than an apple peel. A black thinker, black leader, young deacon, walking out a foot locker with the zebra sneakers. Somewhere eating Mediterranean pizza. I've been out the way, man, it's been a couple seasons. What a pleasant surprise, well, really isn't. Dressed in black and white like the dog on that Spurs McKenzie. Used to get the 12 pieces, now we order from Kennedy. Wrote this in an apple.
I'm atheist. I'm atheist. It's not that hard. Your arms just too short to box with God.
I teach better, I rather speak better, eat better, sleep better, counteract disease better. I earn you fleece cheddar. I'm in the quantum.
I'm atheist. It's not that hard. Your arms just too short to box with God.
I teach better, I rather speak better, eat better, sleep better, counteract disease better. I earn you fleece cheddar. I'm in the quantum mechanics planet. You can't stand it, you frantic panic. I can even recite Sanskrit. My mother played jazz, I heard Coltrane in the stomach. I was born into it, I ain't stumbled upon it. I came from under, now the boy above it. From the same place where Malcolm and Martin and James Baldwin got their name from. A young Diabolus of Alexandria, dressed in all black like I'm flying a TIE fighter. The lightsaber sharper than an apple peel. A black thinker, black leader, young deacon, walking out a foot locker with the zebra sneakers. Somewhere eating Mediterranean pizza. I've I've been out the way, man, it's been a couple seasons. What a pleasant surprise, well, really isn't. Dressed in black and white like the dog on that Spurs McKenzie. Used to get the 12 pieces, now we order from Kennedy. Wrote this in at Applebee's. When the world ends, you'll find me in a treehouse. A year and a half ago, the boy got ousted. All my raps must be wrote with quills, my pen a fountain. Be in the same circles that Mason X and Kissing Styles is. My baby told me I deserve to be a stylist. The house I live in, I can live in. For the rest of my life I found it. The Apollos of Alexandria got me on a family plan. Family, we hold each other down like gravity. And I'm still black, and I'm still proud, and I'm still black. I teach better, I read and speak better. Eat better, sleep better, counteract disease better. I earn you fleece cheddar. I'm in a quantum mechanics planet. You can't stand it, you frantic panic. I can even recite Sanskrit. My mother played jazz, I heard Coltrane in her stomach. I was born into it, I ain't stumble upon it. I came.
I love Dr. Enki.
Melody first diabetes. Go ahead, go. We here. Melody first diabetes. Go ahead, go. We here. Time to make magic, baby.
Rolling through the sand like a thought in disguise. The scarab spins truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl, the Beatles rise. A wave becomes a particle, the sphere holds the flame. Disorder bursts the chaos, yet the chaos rise. My name Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. Over and over, spinning the world in the grip of their shoulders. Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. Under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober. The heat fades lower, the order begins. The stillness so perfect, it hums from within. The void sings softly, entropy takes a bow. In the shadow of silence, the scarab knows how. The second law is dancing, feeding life through decay. The third law holds the promise that the stillness will stay. Beatles,
Yeah. I'm something like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think, you know what I mean? A little something like a little something, you know, from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? They're not supposed to put tools in, you know, like that's, you know, I'm one of them kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of them kids when they took the music out of the schools, and then we put that together and gave the world, you know what I mean? So it's a little magical, it's a little magic in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a little magic in there. All right, so I guess we begin at the beginning, right? And I should have put this in order, even though this is not for y'all. This is for me. So don't worry about if the fact that you can't see this because it's small and whatever else. This is kind of for me, but I should have organized this different so we could have flowed through this kind of like the natural way it goes, right? So let me redo that. Photosynthesis, Krebs cycle, boom, boom. And then we go ElectroGenesis. AquaGenesis. And then we go rich abs versus poor abs. Yeah, I think it'll make more sense in that order. Wait a minute, where's the NRF2 system? Okay, you know what? They should go last. The NRF2 system should go last. Yeah. The NRF2 system should go last. All right. So that's going to make sense. That's going to make sense. And for the most part, all of that is here. That is the basics of this book. So the people that will be taking their tests this week, the first thing that we're focusing on is the Codex, because the Codex is the basic, basic for everything else, right? Our imaginary storytelling, as well as our scientific exploration into how the body works and how to preserve the body and all of those good things, right? And if you're saying to yourself, what do you mean imaginary narrative? You haven't read the books yet. So we have characters and a whole world that we've created, right, around me, right, and my struggles to control my weight, right? So sometimes I am poor abs, sometimes I am rich abs. So those two characters both came from me struggling with my weight, and then I thought it would be a good way to kind of narrate some of the information, and then we created an offshoot story between rich abs and poor abs. And in those books, we have several original articles that we wrote, along with a journal documenting biochemical changes and things like that as you follow through the program, and a whole bunch of other good stuff, right? But all of that's not necessarily consumable in 5 minutes, right? That's not all consumable in 5 minutes. So what we're going to focus on, like I said, is the basics. And that is a part of the basic story. That little narrative right there I just gave you, that is a question that you might get, right? Who is rich abs and poor abs? Like, what is rich abs and poor abs? Who are they? Who are they and what are they? Right? So that is a thing. Right? That is a thing. All right. So first things first, photosynthesis. Fire it up. Who can drop that for us? Who can drop photosynthesis for us? Who can drop photosynthesis for us? This is we doing this together. So photosynthesis. Come on, Paul. Where's Kyle at? Come on, M4 to the front. Yeah, M4, Kyle, come on up to the front. Paul, get on up here to the front, sir. Photosynthesis is the process used by plants, algae, and some bacteria to convert light energy into chemical energy, creating food, sugars, and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Okay, I like this. I like this. This is cute right here. This is nice. I like this. Right? This is the same thing, in case you don't know. This paragraph right here is this equation. Right? This paragraph is this equation. right? So can anybody explain the equation a little bit better right there? Is this a simplified version that I'm looking for? But I like the way you and Kyle walked us into this. I like the way you and Kyle walked us into this. Yeah, but there's a simplified version of this, right? And I want you to be able to see it, right? Or say look at, okay, so look at, if you look at this equation, right? In the middle of the equation is where the arrow is. I'm trying to put my finger like right over top of where it would be at, right there, right? You see CO2, carbon dioxide, plus H2O, which is water. And then you see the arrow. And then on the other side, the arrow is glucose plus O2, right? So it's a carbohydrate plus O2, right? Bam. Okay, that's what I was looking for. That is what I was looking for. The simplified version, right? That's what I was looking for. The simplified version right there. So Tika is showing out. Right? But that's what I was looking for, the simplified version, right? So when you look at this, right, you see the water molecule plus carbon dioxide, right? Carbon dioxide is one carbon with two oxygens. So in the plant, what the plant is essentially doing is taking that water molecule, attaching it to that carbon, and it's separating the carbon dioxide. So it's letting the dioxide portion go. The dioxide portion goes back to the system, right? It's almost like if you have a business and you get paid and then you take your money off the top and you put it back into the business, right? You bought more inventory. You hit the you went to the re-up or whatever it is that you do, right? The oxygen comes back to the system. What's the system? The system is the animals. We're included in that. So the oxygen leaves the plant and goes back to the system, which is the other half of the machine, which is the other half of the machine. So it's going to split that carbon dioxide and it's going to let that oxygen go and it's going to fix that water molecule to the carbon. So when you get to the other side, you see glucose with the oxygen. That glucose is a carbon. It's not exactly glucose. I want y'all to fix in your mind just carbohydrate, because carbohydrate, inside the word carbohydrate, is giving you the science, right? Hydrated carbon. That's why it's called carbohydrate, is because there's a water molecule attached to a carbon. So it's hydrated carbon, right? And that's the basis of all of our food, right? All of our fruits, veggies, all of the plants that we eat, right, come from this basic process. So I'm going to need y'all to be able to explain it just like this to somebody else. Because in the chat, everybody sounds like a pro. And then when it's time for you to explain this out loud, it sometimes gets different. It sometimes gets different. Some of us are better at explaining things than others. So we need you to practice being able to explain it just like that. Yeah. Yeah, see, M4, and Kyle, I'm gonna need you two to relax. And I don't mean relax in terms of that's incorrect or y'all saying anything wrong or whatever. What I'm saying is we have created a little universe for ourselves, right? We did this together. We created this little online world of our own, right? And we've created a culture that didn't exist before, even though we had plenty of predecessors that helped to lay the groundwork, whether we're talking about Dr. Africa's, Dr. Sabi's, or whoever, right? But we have, in turn, did something totally unique over here in our space. And so I don't want you to get it twisted, right? Because what happens is we spend a lot of time together, especially now that we're doing the study halls when we're not live. You know what I'm saying? So we live, then we dropping books, reading books, then we got study hall and the music so we're spending a lot of time together. So it's very easy to forget that John Q. Public is relatively dumb. Respectfully. John Q. Public's relatively dumb. Yeah. So you have to be able to walk John Q. Public up, right? Not walk him down. You got to be able to walk him up, right? You got to be able to meet a person at like zero understanding and then slowly bring them up, right? And then you can kind of, articulate it in that kind of way, depending on who you're talking to, right? If you're talking to somebody that already has some sophistication level, then you good. But for the most part, we talking to friends and family, people at our job, people at our school, people, random folks. We got to start at like the easiest level to get them to understand it. Then we can go to other concepts and we can build on top of it however you want, depending on, you can get swaggy with it and take them to Kemet. You know what I'm saying? You can get swaggy with it and take them to Kemet. You know what I'm saying? You could think, yeah, listen, there's a reason why the perfect black was always depicted as green, because that shows the relationship between, the plants and the animals and the, respiration or inspiration being that link in nature. And, you could go as far as, quantum, you can get into your quantum, you can get into your bag, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, in order to talk to people and get people to learn, you got to start water molecule, atom of carbon. That's it. You're going to put a water molecule together with an atom of carbon, and that is going to create carbohydrates. Then on the flip side, once you get to establish that basic principle, it helps to understand what happens in your body, right? So that's how we go right from photosynthesis to the Krebs cycle. I don't think you should ever discuss one without the other, right? Whenever you explain it to somebody the Krebs cycle, you should always start off with photosynthesis, right? Is where nature is packaging your food for you, putting the water with the carbon, right? And often people will talk about the sunlight, right? The sunlight. The sunlight is the hydrogen aspect. The sunlight is the information aspect. But in the dead chemistry part of it, right? And so that's another part of it. We're dealing with science on multiple levels, right? We here understand and emphasize and speak to and about light, electricity, magnetism, quantum behavior. John Q. Public, even some people that are classically educated with varying levels of credentials. So you got to just work with them with the chemistry, just the chemicals, just carbon atom, water molecule, bzz, carbohydrate. Inside our body, we're going to take that carbohydrate and break that apart, right? We have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. We're going to break all three of those up. The carbon, we are typically going to get rid of, and we're going to use oxygen to get rid of it, right? So the carbon and oxygen, we're going to separate from the hydrogen. And then once we break up the carbohydrate or the glucose molecule, right? Once we break it up, the carbon separated from the hydrogen, separated from the oxygen, we are then going to break up the hydrogen, because that is where the money is. That is where the money is, the hydrogen atoms. That's what we're looking for. The whole idea of the Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, what else is it? Tricarboxylic acid cycle. And then obviously on top of that, you have the beta oxidation cycle, which handles fat and then joins into the fray. But the whole point of that is to harvest the hydrogen, to separate the hydrogen atoms, because the hydrogen that's the money, right? The hydrogen is the money, right? So I know you, Paul and Kelvin, y'all got the down pack on tap. The Krebs cycle step by step, which is good. You're going to need that for later, but not for now. For the basics, all you need to know is those names primarily. You just need to know Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle are relatively all the same thing, right? There's some nuanced differences and focuses, but for the most part, you can use them interchangeably to speak to people, right? It's the breaking food down thing. It's how you break the food down, right? Or at least how you break down the glucose and the fats, right? And you turn them into a stream of electrons. So that is where ElectroGenesis comes in, right? So we're breaking down the sugars and fats so that we can separate the hydrogen, and then we're going to turn the hydrogen into a electricity source. We're going to turn the hydrogen into electricity. I'm going to assume everybody is quiet in the chat because people are writing this stuff down. That's cool. All right. So we're going to break up the carbohydrate. Carbon, you go that way. Oxygen, you go that way. Hydrogen, you come here. And once we got the hydrogen, we're going to separate the hydrogen atom. The protons, we're going to send those into the swimming pool. The protons go into the mitochondria matrix. They go into the matrix. The electrons go through the electron transport chain. So that is our electrogenesis. And at the end of the electron transport chain, the electrons and the protons and the oxygen all come back together again to make water. That is AquaGenesis. So the electrogenesis happens, and then the AquaGenesis happens, right? So we take carbohydrates, turn them into electricity, and turn the electricity into water. And in the process of that, ATP is being recycled. ATP has been over promoted though. Yeah, so I know just in case somebody's like, well, wait a minute, I thought the ATP, yeah, ATP is being recycled. Yeah, on the side, it's on the side over there. ATP being recycled. The most important things to know is that we're taking the glucose or the carbohydrates, we're stripping the hydrogen, we're turning the hydrogen into streams of electrons, and we're using that to create pure water. And in the process between that electricity and the creation of that water, we're recycling ATP in the background. You know what I'm saying? But that's just like study music. That's like study music. That's like you in college or you somewhere, you like how I be up working on a book or something and you got music playing in the background. Like the music playing in the background is cool, but it's not like what I'm working on, right? So we have misdirected focus, right? The important thing is the ElectroGenesis, the AquaGenesis, right? And no, I'm not saying that we could live without ATP. That would be insane. But ATP could not be recycled without the electricity and the water being produced. So as long as the electricity and the water is being produced, the ATP will continue to be pumped out. It'll continue to be pumped out. Definitely. A lot, yeah. There's a few reasons, but definitely that's a contributor. That's definitely a contributor. There's a few reasons, but that's definitely a contributor. Right? The other big reason is that it takes time for water to be conditioned into whatever your body needs to use the water for. Your body doesn't really use water from out of a bottle or the tap like that. Your body has to condition it. So it takes a while for your body to condition it. Meaning plasma has a specific, proton. Well, it does have that too, but it has a specific protein, profile, minerals, ions, etc. Right? So a part of your body using water, and this is what class was that? I think week 1, class 3. It should be up. The class we did the other day, we read through some of the book on water, and we really went through it slow. We did 3 stories on the journey of a water molecule as it's going through your body and all of the different changes that's required for your body to use water in different places, because your body doesn't just use water as it is from a bottle or from the tap. Your plasma has a certain mineral, ion, protein profile, interstitial fluid, cytoplasm, synovial fluid, spinal fluid, pericardial, like wherever the water is going to be utilized in your body, there's a different type of profile for it. So your body has to condition it. So a lot of times if you just drink a whole bunch of water at once, your body doesn't really get to really fully use it like it wants. It'll just wind up, which is cool, is you still need that. But it'll just wind up probably flushing the fascia, connective tissue, lymphatic system, so it's always a benefit. But if you can get it slow throughout the day, like a cup every hour, a couple cups every hour, your body will definitely respond better. Not sure what the definition of these words are. Which words? Because that's what we're here for right now. So which words? I definitely don't want you to not know what we're talking about. Yeah, type them into the chat. That's what that's what we're doing right now. Right? Well, yeah. That's another thing too. That's why I said there's a few reasons why it's better to just drink water, all throughout the day, because that's another part Paul just bring up is water soluble vitamins. Right? He listed B vitamins, but also vitamin C. Right? The water soluble vitamins. You wind up flushing a lot of water soluble vitamins. So you got to know if you're going to blast a gallon or 2 gallons of water in a small period of time, you got to know you're going to need to replace some B and some C vitamins. Oh, you was responding to Kyle? What about no. Kyle gonna confuse people. No, sir. I'm not gonna ask you about that for this test. I'm not gonna ask you about NAD or FAD. Do not worry about those. Uh, we should pray as much as possible. You should make prayer like you should be walking prayer at a certain point. There's a point where you're constantly in communion. Yeah, there's a point where you got to make it a habit and you got to try to remind yourself and blah 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 to give thanks and kind of stay in tune. But after a while, it'll become second nature, and you just stay in that communication space. I almost missed that. After the electricity makes water, where does the water go? That will not be needed for the test, but it is a great question. So the water joins into the cytoplasm, right? The structured water of the cell and that whole process. When the water comes from the fourth complex or complex 4 or cytochrome 4, it immediately is in the presence of proteins, which helps the water jump right into the structure process. But the beauty is that most of the water inside our cells is pure. It's not water from outside. So it jumps right into the structure and process to become basically like a part of the body of the cell, because the body of the cell is primarily water. So, yeah. And as fresh water is constantly being recycled in the cell, you have water from inside the cell being released out of the cell, carrying waste and things like that into the extracellular fluid. And then from the extracellular fluid, it drifts out into the intracellular fluid. And then from there into the lymphatic system. At least that's how it's supposed to go. Until the cells get gunked up and it gets crazy. And then the process, then you start building up toxins and blah, 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 blah. Right. But that part will come into play when we get down to the NRF2 system, which we'll probably spend more time on than these other things. Like CMOS. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not like CMOS, not like CMOS, but absolutely like CMOS. That is a fact. That's a great way to think about it in your mind. Like that's a mnemonic device you can use. The same way CMOS turns into gel, water inside your cells turn into gel. That is a fact. Yeah, the water inside your cell is not fluid like water in a cup. It's very thick, like Jello almost. Yeah, no. That's yeah, don't listen to people saying things like this. Yeah, I know who's promoting those ideas. Yaki is getting the stuff from Iris Latham, and that's not good information. Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Iris Latham's teacher when I lived in Philly. Yeah. So, but that's not exactly good information. The reason why, fruit, and this is why sometimes information can seem scientific, is because it's like a surface level understanding, right? So here's what happens, and I'll explain it to you, right? And we're going to kind of get into it later on. We're going to come back and circle back around to it with the rich abs, poor abs. But I do want to touch on it now because I might forget. So people will say, okay, it's better to eat fruit, right, than drink water or whatever the case may be. Or we should get, or even some people will go as far as to say humans are not designed to drink water. We should only eat fruit, right? That's absolutely insane. But then you, John Q. Public, me, you, us, right, will eat some fruit and the fruit will be incredibly hydrating, right? We'll have some watermelon or some tangerines or some whatever, or maybe even some celery or whatever. And we'll get, we'll feel the hydration and we'll go, oh, this is proof that we must not be designed to drink water, because when I have fruit, I get hydrated so much easier, right? And the problem is we don't really understand what's happening, right? So the main thing that's missing from a fruit to a cup of water has nothing to do with the liquid or whether it's structured or unstructured. So it's not that, because I've seen some of these blogs and videos. They say, oh yeah, well, the water inside the fruit is already structured water, so that's why it's so hydrating. None of that is a fact. None of that is a fact. The reason why fruits are so much more hydrating is because we are fiber starved. And fiber is what controls your body's ability to hydrate. That's the problem. We're fiber starved. The diets that we have, no matter what kind of diet you're on, vegan, most vegan diets are fiber deficient as well. But yeah, so almost all diets are fiber deficient. We do not get enough fiber in. Keto diets, what is that? Atkins protein diets, paleo, Liver King, forget about it. Almost no fiber. Vegan, if you're doing vegan, but you're actually eating plants, you're cool. But for the most part, people who are on vegan diets are doing like vegan chicken, vegan mac and cheese, blah, 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 blah. So almost no fiber in the diet. Fiber is the thing that controls your body's ability to hydrate. So when we have a piece of fruit, it's not the water or the whether it's structured or not, or whether it's fruit, whatever. It's none of those things. It's the fact that our body is trying to tell us the fiber. It's trying to signal us to the fiber. The fiber is the main thing that's important, right? So if we were eating diets that were high in fiber, we wouldn't have that response. And that response is mostly driven by fiber. And for some of us, the time that we eat an apple or some watermelon in the summertime or whatever the case may be, that's usually the only time we have fiber. So that is the big thing that is fooling people to listen to the people on the internet that's saying crazy things. Humans are absolutely designed to drink water. The thing is, we're also absolutely designed for carbohydrates. That is how life on this planet was designed, carbohydrates. And when we have a diet of primarily natural carbohydrates, that is a high fiber diet. So when you eat a high fiber diet, you will always have fiber somewhere in your system, somewhere in your intestinal tract, somewhere going through. Because remember, you eating stuff and then stuff is going down, and then you got a whole, your intestinal digestive tract is crazy before it comes out the other end. So, and most of the hydration happens towards the end. Most of the hydration happens towards the end. So, yeah, if you eat plants every day, all day, you always have fiber in there somewhere. Fiber's always in there somewhere. So you can drink as much as cups of water, whatever, like you can, but on the flip side, the amount of water that you need, you're not going to really get that every day unless you have a lopsided diet program, because there's other things that you need to consume besides water, right? There's other things you need to get your macros and micros and all those other good things. So yeah, the whole concept of body not designed to drink water is insane. What's a good seasoning for black beans? Y'all are trolling me. Y'all are trolling me. What's a good seasoning for black beans? That's up to you. Yeah, that's up to you. You got to go to your taste. You know what I'm saying? Whatever tastes good for you. I would just say stay away from them MSG seasonings, obviously, but do your thing. You got to spend a few dollars. This is what I would say, right? If you just starting out and you don't know what to do, or maybe you've been spoiled by, you had a long-term relationship with a lady and she's been doing most of the cooking, or your mom or something, whatever the case may be, or maybe you're young just getting into it, whatever it is, right? What I would say is go to the supermarket and find the cheap seasonings. There's always a section of seasonings that's like 99 cents up to $2, right? Go in there and get all of them. Yeah, just go get all of them. Spend like $30 and get everything on the cheap rack, right? Get everything on the cheap rack and then go home and experiment. You're going to make a bunch of nasty stuff, but you're going to find your way. And then once you find your way taste-wise, that's when you start, then you get into the $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 seasonings. Now you know what you want to get. Yeah, now that you know what you want to get, you know what I'm saying, then you can focus on that. Because some seasonings are good all the time. Like coriander is pretty much good all the time. Whatever you put it on, it's going to add flavor to it. But then there's some stuff that's not. You know what I'm saying? And some stuff is like to your, personal liking. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would definitely just mess around with some stuff. You know what I'm saying? But make sure you get some turmeric. And some stuff is not on the cheap rack. I'm not sure if any supermarkets have cheap turmeric. Yeah, you're probably not going to find that. But yeah, I would say stay away from the salt and stay away from anything that is like MSG, like Sazoons and all of those seasonings that doesn't actually tell you what's in there. Yeah, just don't get those. Yeah, saffron is amazing, but saffron is $10 million for saffron. But saffron is amazing if you can get actual saffron. But the saffron business is tied together with the MSG business because saffron is so expensive. So what they do is they get a pinch of saffron, a ton of MSG, and mix that together, and then they come up with something and name it, whatever. Sazoon or this, that, and the other, all those, Adobo, all those companies, they put a little pinch of saffron and then they put a pound of, a ton of MSG in there and salt, and then, they got a mix for you. right? So anyway, photosynthesis. We're getting very far away from what we're supposed to be doing. All these questions, we should have did that in the study hall. We need to be focused, right? So photosynthesis. Who got photosynthesis? Somebody come with photosynthesis. What we got on photosynthesis? Yeah, we gotta bring it back. No. You good, Peyton. You good. We was already drifting. You just, don't worry about it. Photosynthesis. Who has photosynthesis? Let's go. Somebody photosynthesis. Yeah, cumin is an acquired taste. You got to watch yourself with that cumin. Yes and no. And you kind of talking about the kidneys too. But no, that's later on. That's later on. The hormones don't really come into play until you inside the body per se. The digestive system is largely outside of your body. Yeah, even though I know that what I'm saying may sound crazy because everything typically is inside your body, but remember, there's a tunnel, right? Not to be, pause in advance if I need to say pause, but there's a tunnel that goes from your mouth to your butt, right? So technically, stuff that's inside that tunnel is not actually inside your body, right? Our bodies are kind of like a donut in that way, right? This hole right here goes all the way to your butt. And so as your body passes stuff through it, it breaks stuff down and it grabs what's useful and pulls that into the body. And then the rest continues to go through and then it comes out the other end, right? So technically stuff that's in transit is not actually really in the body. So the hormones and stuff like that come into play inside the body. But the fiber controls the fiber controls hydration through the digestive system and the metabolism. Photosynthesis is adding water to carbon. Okay, let's bring it back. Reset. Photosynthesis is adding water to carbon. Oxygen leaves the plants and goes back to the system. Bam. So we got our glucose, aka carbohydrate, aka hydrated carbon. Bang. And then when we eat it, we do the exact opposite of what plants do. So that's another thing. We got to make sure we're not finding ourselves watching any of those goofball YouTube channels where they talk about humans do photosynthesis. Humans do not do photosynthesis in any shape, form, or fashion. In any shape, form, or fashion. Melanin does not do what chlorophyll does. Hemoglobin does not do what chlorophyll does. Our body does not do what plants do. None of that. In fact, the reason why we need the plants is because the plants do the opposite to what we do. The plants do what we can't do. We do what the plants can't do. So it's a symbiotic relationship between the animals and the plants, right? And the humans are included with the animals the same way the algae is included with the plants, right? So it is a symbiotic relationship. They need us, we need them. They need us, we need them. We do not perform photosynthesis. Please do not listen to anybody telling you about human photosynthesis. Do not let them pull up no paper and tell you they got a source for it, because the source is going to be Arturo Salas Herrera or somebody quoting him. And He's out there in a small country putting those papers out there, and it is gobbledygook foolishness. So that is a whole nother thing. Just because something is not in a scientific paper does not make it false. And just because something is in a scientific journal does not make it accurate. You can pay to get into a scientific journal. Yeah. Just like you see, one of the reasons why the music industry is upside down is because the payola went from the DJs to the DSPs, and people were paying for Spotify rankings and all kind of other crazy stuff. It's the same thing in the science world. People will pay to get their stuff listed, and then it's, don't just. We do the opposite of what the plants do. The plants take the carbon and add the water to it. We consume those products, whatever those products are, the vegetables, the fruits, we consume those products, and in our digestion, in our metabolism, we separate the carbon back from the water. And we add the oxygen to the carbon, and we send the carbon back to the system. So we take the carbohydrate in and send the carbon back to the plants. The plants take the carbon in and send the oxygen back to us. We break it down, they put it together. We break it down, they put it together. Totally opposite. Total opposite functions. No, we still got other stuff to get to. I just want to make sure that we got this beginning part down packed, right? The photosynthesis, the Krebs cycle, and that process of breaking down the carbohydrates and the fats is the electrogenesis. That is the end result of the Krebs cycle, the tricarboxylic acid cycle, citric acid cycle, for all intents and purposes, is separating the hydrogen, and then we take the hydrogen and break that down further into electrons and protons. The protons go into the matrix, the electrons go through the electron transport chain, and then at the end of the electron transport chain, that's where brand new water is formed, AquaGenesis, right? So we got photosynthesis, Krebs cycle, ElectroGenesis, AquaGenesis, boom, out of the way. 1 hour. We good. Kyle trying to wrap it up. We moving, Kyle. We moving. But see, this is the thing. This is the difference between teaching and learning, right? You got to know the difference. It's important because there's also a difference between a teacher and a lecturer, right? So when you're learning by yourself, you go at your own speed. But when you're trying to teach somebody, unfortunately, you got to go at their speed. And if you're talking to a group, primarily, you stuck going the speed of the slowest person in the group. You got to go the slowest, whatever, whoever. Yeah, you got to make, because because if the slowest person get it, or when the slowest person get it, then that mean everybody else already got it. You know what I'm saying? But you got to make sure that. And then teaching and lecturing, right? A lecturer doesn't teach. A lecturer is paid to show off. That's what a lecturer is paid for, just to show off. A lecturer just paid to come and tell you what he knows or what she knows. Like, bop, 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 bop. All right, everybody, have a good night. Lecturer grabs his money and goes that way. If everybody there listening to the lecture learned something, great. If nobody listening to the lecture learned anything, great. The lecturer already got paid and went that way. A teacher, on the other hand, a teacher has to ask you questions and check for retention and quiz you and try to, see where they may be able to communicate better because maybe they did a bad job of explaining something. So they got to go back and forth with you and wrestle until you could repeat it back. Right. And then at that point, they know they did their job. Right. So even teaching and lecturing is two different things. No, at the house. That's where you're supposed to get busy. That's the dojo. When you at the house, you're supposed to be beating your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, baby daddy, baby mama, your children, your mother, your father. Yeah, everybody that live with you, you're supposed to be working out on them. Yeah, you're supposed to be working out on them. You gotta, and that's how you get out. And you know what I'm saying? Because usually they're gonna be annoyed. The people you live with, they're going to be annoyed. Because they don't respect you, no matter how smart you are. They don't respect you. They see you when you get sick, when you doo-doo in the bathroom stink, and they know everything about you. You know what I'm saying? They remember all your bad habits before you try to get your life together. You know what I'm saying? So they don't respect anything you're talking about. So usually the people that love you is going to be your toughest audience. And so when you get practice with sharing the information with them, you're prepared for the world at large, because people usually have a certain level of, like respect for strangers just because they want to receive respect. So they just initially give respect. So you kind of get more of a easier conversation with a stranger than like with your mom or your lady or your homeboys or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you done smoked 1,000 blunts with these guys or drank 40s or whatever. They only remember that. They don't care about, oh, you ain't did that in 10 years. They mind still remember back in the days, whatever. So that's a much harder sell when you trying to explain some higher level information. Yeah, because they're going to judge you based on your worst moments. When you meet somebody new, they don't know it. They don't have any of that info. They only know how you present yourself in that moment. So you usually have a much easier time explaining to new people or teaching somebody new as opposed to somebody old. So that's great to practice with the friends and family, because they're going to beat you up, violate you, disrespect you, and you got to be on your P's and Q's. Yeah. Listen, that's how my children help me write a book. I got to talk it through with them. And don't go into a book until they, okay, Dad, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm like, yeah, because I'll be floating out into space. I'll be floating out into space. I'll be having to bring it back down to reality. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So we got photosynthesis, hydrating carbon, right? Then we got our body metabolism, Krebs cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, citric acid cycle, right? Breaking that down into electrons and protons, formulating water, recycling ATP. We got that, right? Beta oxidation sits like on top of or maybe adjacent to Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, right? And just know that for all intents and purposes, those three things mean the same thing. But the reason why I keep repeating all three of them is because you might try to look up what we're talking about. And some books, they will only have citric acid cycle, or they may only have tricarboxylic acid cycle, or they may only say Krebs cycle, or you might be on a website and you just need to know that you're in the right place, right? Because I don't want to say Krebs cycle and then you looking up and you see tricarboxylic acid cycle and then you think that you wrong, or you go backwards because you're in the right place. You good. All three of them things is the same thing for the most part. All right. So the next thing is rich abs versus poor abs. Now we kind of discussed that already, right? We kind of discussed the mythos of rich abs and poor abs, right? The rich abs and poor abs mythos, came from me and my struggles with my weight, right? But then also in one of those talking sessions, right, that I'm just talking about with Paul, one of those talking sessions with the children, I'm explaining to them the difference and why it's important. Because I think the convo started with like an old picture of me with like a super sharp six pack and all this and all that. And whenever I talk to my aunt and my mom's on the phone, they always ask me about that. Like, you still be doing them push-ups, boy. You still got that six pack. I'm like, Ma, come on, bro. That was a long time ago, Ma. The six pack is, it's more like a shadow, a little. And depending on what time, it might be a keg, you know what I'm saying? But it's, I like to keep it to like a nice little shadow where it's, you can still see, it's still there. It's still there. It might not be that sharp, but like Mike Epps, and he said, them 20s, no, these 19s, but I keep them clean though. You know what I'm saying? Is that a six pack? No. It's not a six pack, but I keep it clean though. So anyway, I'm explaining to them the reason why you want to keep it somewhat flat is because your abs is a gland for all intents and purposes, right? It doesn't qualify as a gland because it's really big, right? But typically the classical definition of a gland is a organ that secretes, hormones, right? So that's your glands. But that definition has evolved over time, right? And it's almost becoming outdated because at the time that glands came out, and this is why you got so much outdated information floating around. You even done had these fools trying to merge chakras with glands. Crazy. But now we know that all kinds of organs secrete hormones. And then to take that a step further, hormones are not even what we thought they were back in that time period, right? Because hormones was basically like, okay, well, your glands secrete hormones and hormones provide instructions for cells, right? And that's still true. But there's other things that do the same thing, right? So now, there's a lot of other molecules that are in the instruction giving game. So it's not even so much as instruction as information, right? So even the idea of what the hormones are carrying has changed in terms of it being a definite instruction. Now it's more like hormones carry information, right? Cytokines carry information, myokines carry information, neurotransmitters, and so on and so forth, right? Catecholamines and just a wide variety of things that are produced in cells, cell groups, tissues to communicate with other cell groups and tissues, right? So the abdomen is definitely a big player in this communication game. And I think I'm actually going to need my book. Even though this is not going to be on the test, I do want to have my book. Hold on, let me look for my book for a second.
Melody first diabetes. You already know what it is. We here. Time to make
there's truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl, the Beatles rise. A wave becomes a particle, the sphere holds the flame. Disorder bursts the chaos, yet the chaos rise. My name Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. Over and over, spinning the world in the grip of their shoulders. Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. Under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober. The heat fades lower, the order begins. The stillness so perfect, it hums from within. The void sings softly, entropy takes a bow. In the shadow of silence, the scarab knows how. The second law is dancing, feeding life through decay.
Man, somebody said they needed that music break right there. Okay. So this is the book. This is the original Rich Abs, Poor Abs book. In case you don't have this book, this is the original book. Right? This is the original book. And in this book, we go through and we detail a very, well, it was unknown until we start talking about it, at least in the internet universe, right? Talking about a group of cells that get no attention, right? A group of cells that gets no attention. And I want to take y'all, the people who have the book, right? If you have this book, pull this book out. Pull this book out if you have this book, right? No, this first test, there's a bunch of different tests. So I'm going to get to that in a second. I probably should have started the show with that. But there's a bunch of different tests. We have different degrees of understanding, right? And so the degrees, we want to test you to make sure you're proficient with this type of, this set of info, this set of study. So we have degree for this set of study, right? The test that's happening right now is specifically for the Codex, right? The Codex is the book that comes directly after this book, right? So there are some things, though, that are in this book that are not in the Codex because it's assumed if you got the Codex, you got the Rich Abs, Poor Abs foundational book, right? So anyway, when I'm talking to the children, right? When I'm talking to the children, what I'm telling them is that it's important to keep a somewhat flat stomach because your stomach produces different types of chemicals depending on fat. Yeah. So if you got a fat stomach, you got a lot of visceral fat, you have a lot of, like the activity, the biochemistry inside your abdomen is totally, totally different. So having a fat stomach is not just about having a fat stomach. Having a fat stomach is about toxicity. And so a lot of people, they walking around with fat stomachs and they like a food snobs, right? Like they talking about, we got to watch the water, like I only drink bottled water because of the chemicals or, I don't eat this or that or whatever the case may be. But you got a factory of toxic chemicals being produced every second in your body right now, just in your stomach alone. Your stomach alone is going to produce a factory of toxic chemicals just because it's fat. So there's a reason to get that fat down, right? On top of that, hold on. So on page 24, right, and we'll go through a little bit of this. All right, page 24. Foods that are poor in nutrition create poor abs. Foods that are rich in nutrition create rich abs, right? So I turned them into characters, but it's actually talking about two different types of stomachs, right? I actually even think I have them here. Hold on. I got them right here. So you can look at rich abs and poor abs.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now. This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.
Right? Some people thought I was talking about fat people. I'm like, no. I'm both of those characters. I need you to know I'm both of them.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.
Yeah, I'm both of them. That's why on the cover of the book, it has 4 different faces. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how we go through in life. We're not always, you know what I'm saying? But the idea is the journey. Anyway, so foods that are poor in nutrition create poor abs. Foods that are rich in nutrition create rich abs. Rich abs creates their own vinegar and GLP-1. Right? Rich abs creates its own vinegar and GLP-1. So a lot of people on the internet looking for fads and ways to quickly do this or that. Vinegar has been one of those things that people have ran into all the time. And then they ask me about vinegar and I'm like, no, knock it off. Stop drinking vinegar. Like that's ridiculous. Right? But again, because we don't have fiber in our diet, we're looking for a way to replace what our body would make if we had the fiber. Your body makes vinegar on its own when you have the fiber. You don't need to have apple cider vinegar and all these other different things because they don't work the same as the natural vinegar your body produces. And then also the new thing, which is the GLP-1 weight loss needles and all that people are taking. Your body produces that also from fiber. So you don't need the shots if you have the fiber. But because we don't have the fiber, we have all of these different people making an income, making billions and trillions of dollars different ways off of misleading us, right? You have the uninformed being led by the misinformed. Right? So the idea is not to purchase vinegar or to purchase GLP-1 needles or any of those things. The idea is to have your body to producing it on its own. Right? And if you do use a crutch, use it as a crutch. Right? I'm not against whatever you got to do, whether it's a TRT. I'm not fighting the TRT people. Please leave me alone. I'm with you. If you got to TRT it, but use it as a crutch. Do not think that you could be healthy by using these things for the rest of your life, right? Because it is a crutch. And there will be side effects if you use these things, consistently forever. Your microbiome and digestive system do all the magic for you. You just have to feed them a diet rich in fiber. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria in your intestine, don't directly produce GLP-1, but it influences its production by interacting with the cells in your gut lining. Here's how it works. Step-by-step breakdown. You eat the fiber. The microbiome ferments the fiber. Certain beneficial gut bacteria break down dietary fiber into short-chain fatty acids. specifically butyrate, propionate, and acetate. Short chain fatty acids stimulate L cells. L cells are specialized cells in the gut lining that produce GLP-1 for you, right? And so we go through all of these different cells because there is a bunch of these different cells and they all have a bunch of different products, from L cells to MX cells to D cells to K cells to G cells. There's a whole bunch. We go through them in this book. We even have another book in the Rich Abs series where they're going through it in detail. And so we have a few books on the ABCs of the digestive system, right? But no, so you won't have to know all these things specifically for the test on the Codex, right? But one of the questions I'm going to ask you is, who is rich abs and poor abs? And so you need to kind of be able to explain to me who is rich abs and poor abs, right? And if you just leave it at, oh, rich abs and poor abs, the characters in the book, that means you don't get it. In your answer of who is rich abs and poor, because somebody may ask you that. If you start talking to them about the Codex, they may ask you, who is these people? Is these real people? And you should be able to explain to them, well, no. Rich abs and poor abs. Inky kind of made that up. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It's a fact. Inky made that up. Because Inky is sometimes fat, sometimes in really good shape. So, yeah. But there's a big difference between people who have poor abs and people who have rich abs, right? Health is wealth, right? Health is wealth. So there is a such thing as rich abs. Health is wealth, right? So people with rich abs, right? Those are the people who spend time and money on their abs, right? Those are the people who buy slightly more expensive foods because they want more nutrition. Those are the people who spend more time walking, doing sit-ups, hitting the gym, or whatever it is they're doing, praying with us 5 times a day, right? Prayer time is almost coming up, right? But trying to stay active, things like that. So those people typically invest more into their abs. So because they're investing more in their abs, they have a better return on investment, ROI, rich abs, right? The people who don't invest any time into their abs, they don't spend any money, right? They look at food and just the cheapest one is the best one, right? They get more of it, right? Cool. You have poor abs. You have zero return on investment, right? So you may need to get a GLP-1 needle or buy some crazy stuff because your abs are not performing like somebody else's. Do you have the potential? Of course. You can start investing. Get the books. We teach you how to make those investments into yourself, right? That's why we have a song that I love me. That's why I'm that guy. I love me. That's why. No, what is it? I love me. That's it. I'm that chick. What is that song? Let's play that song. Because I love me. That's why. Yeah, let me find that song. Let me see if I can find that song. Yo, it's a lot of crazy stuff on the internet. Hold on. I'm trying to find this track. There we go. Boom.
Counting stars on the ceiling, night feels infinite. Heart heavy, but my spirit stay vigilant. They try to clip my wings, but I pivoted. Broke the cycle, now I'm limitless. Script written in my veins, call it. Yeah. Counting stars on the ceiling, night feels infinite. Heart heavy, but my spirit stay vigilant. They try to clip my wings, but I pivoted. Broke the cycle, now I'm limitless. Script written in my veins, call it ancient text. Living proof of a blessing, can't second guess. I sow seeds in my garden, they sprout finesse. Eating greens with the roots, God says I love me, that's why I'm that guy. Cause I love me, that's it, I'm that chick. Living to be 1,000 biblical years. God said eat the green plants with seeds in them. Came from the mud, now the rain hit different. Diamonds in a puddle, my reflection glisten. Lonely nights taught me how to listen. To the silence, how my dreams feel vivid. Luxury in my mind, manifest my palace. Balance on the edge of chaos, call it talent. Every step I take is calibrated malice. Told her doubt it through, now it's invalid. Cause I love me, that's why I'm that guy. Cause I love me, that's it, I'm that shit. Living to be 1,000 biblical years. God said eat the green plants with seeds in them. Mirrors in the dark, all I see is truth. Every scar, every line, every move I prove. Can't erase what's written, I'm eternal. You built a legacy of love, that's a living proof. Feel the cold, feel the fire, I'm the perfect storm. Made of ash, made of light, and twice we born. Cause I love me, that's why I'm that guy. Cause I love me, that's it, I'm that chick. Living to be 1,000 biblical years. God said, rich ass, poor abs, it's big bags of course gaps. Your wealth is on your waist like a belt class. Skin on face, we can read it like a map. See what you eating, smell how you living, that's fact. I pray to God 60 times a minute, 5 times a day, my heart's still in it. Clock ticking loud, can't outrun the limit. I pray to God 60 times a minute. Champagne wishes, but the fridge got drought vibes. Penthouse vision still stuck on the south side. Pain drips slow, but the scars they shout wide. Losing fat, gaining muscle, sweat dripping puddles. Everyday struggle, mind caught in a shuffle. Look in the mirror, whisper I love you. Fighting with my past, me and God in a scuffle. Echoes in the night, dreams heavy as duffels. Hands on the bar, weights in the air. Chains on my soul, but I'm shedding despair. Sometimes nature's struggle. I help, cause I love you. Sometimes nature's trouble. I stand, cause I trust you.
Yeah, so we got some, you know what I mean? We got some music that's, you know what I'm saying? The music is get you into the mindset with you and then reinforce the information, right? All right, so we got rich abs and poor abs. Now, we can go to the NRF2 system. Right now, we can go to the NRF2 system. The NRF2 system, and I'm looking at the board like I wrote something slick up there. The NRF2 system, well, kind of got the order. So now we got the creation of food, how your body breaks down food. Then we got rich abs, poor abs, right? The byproducts of proper digestion and metabolism. And then we got the NRF2 system, which is what happens when all hell breaks loose. No, it's kind of not. Just kidding. But the NRF2 system is the defense system, right? The NRF2 system is the defense system, right? That's what the NRF2 system is. The NRF2 system is the defense system. The NRF2 system is what protects all the cells, right? And NRF2 system is the reason why we have a monthly detox kit. The monthly detox kit was designed for your NRF2 system, right? For your NRF2 system. And there are there are a wide variety of specific passages in the book that breaks down your NRF2 system and what it does and doesn't do and how you can help it do what it's supposed to be doing and all that. Right? Oh, we definitely have a goodie. Page 120. Page 120. Page 120 to 123 is a mantra. It's a hymn on the NRF2 system and how the NRF2 system interacts with the glutathione system, right? They work together. Not only does the NRF2 system work together with the glutathione system, but inside the electron transport chain, right? Every station, you got 5 cytochromes. Every one of those stations has iron and sulfur there, right? The iron is there to move the electrons. The sulfur is there to act as an antioxidant. So you have sulfur, just like glutathione. Glutathione is also made out of sulfur, right? But sulfur in the body is a part of the antioxidant system. So just like in the electron transport chain, you have the sulfur. You also have glutathione. It also works with the NRF2 system. They all work as a part of the antioxidant line of defense that your cells have, right? Now, inside the cell, it's going to look something like this, right? Something like this. This is a terrible drawing, and we'll probably just pull up some stuff on the internet, but this is what your NRF2 system is going to look like, right? You're going to have like a shield kind of thing. And then behind that, you'll have your nuclear factor. And this is like the Captain America shield, right? For toxins to attack. And whenever this thing is under attack, right, by too many toxins, this is just a mnemonic for you to remember it, right? This guy, the messenger, runs to the nucleus where the DNA is at. Remember, inside your cell, DNA is packaged nice and neat inside the nucleus. One of the reasons your DNA is inside the nucleus is for protection, right? It's separated from anything else that could accidentally damage it. This nuclear factor is a messenger. When it gets to the nucleus, it sounds the alarm to tell your DNA, we under attack, put together, roll out the warriors, right? All of the enzymes and the protective mechanisms we have, roll them out. Roll them out. So your cells being able to defend themselves depends on that, the NRF2 system. So when people ask us, oh, your monthly detox kit, and when you tell them about a monthly detox kit, the first thing that people who are uneducated do is they start talking about doo-doo. They start talking about poop. Oh yeah, man, I had one of them detoxes and whoo, I had the crazy bowel movement. Yeah, I was going in the bathroom for 2-3 days. And people will get the detox kit if you suggest it to them. And that's what they start asking. Yo, is this safe that I could take this while I go to work? Because I don't want to be at work and then I got to, because I might work on the truck or I work like this or that. And I can't be busting out like, ho. This is not that. This is not that. This is about your NRF2 system. And so all throughout the book, the NRF2 system is mentioned in conjunction with other things, right? Because a lot of things that we hear about, we don't know that the reason that they're working is because of their effect on the NRF2 system. Whether it's glutathione, whether it's turmeric, whether it's resveratrol, or any of these other things that they tell you, oh, take this, it's good for antioxidant properties, or polyphenols, or whatever it is, or peppers, or just whatever. The reason why certain foods have a beneficial effect in terms of antioxidant capacity is because of this, the NRF2 system. And it is a concept that I was very ridiculed for introducing to the community. He said, you just made that up. No such thing as that. I was like, yeah, that's why we're kind of dependent on other people. So let us go ahead and peruse the Google demons, see what we get with NRF2 system. Boom. All right. So a little quick AI search and we get NRF2 is a transcription factor that plays a crucial role in protecting cells from oxidative and chemical stress by regulating antioxidant and detoxification genes. It functions by binding to the antioxidant response element in the promoter region of target genes, which are involved in a wide range of cellular processes. All right. So now we know it is a real thing. Let's see what the pictures look like. Let's check out some pics. All right, now this picture looks kind of doofy. Looks kind of doofy, but we're going to work with it. Yeah, it looks kind of doofy, but we're going to work with it. Right? And the reason why I say it looks kind of doofy is because the keep one molecules here are small. Right? But you see the NRF2. So you see the keep one, which is what I describe as this right here, the big shield, right? That's the keep one molecule. When I first learned it, I had to use Wesley Snipes and the light skinned guy. I used Wesley Snipes and the light skinned guy for me to remember it. You do it however you do it, right? But that's how I remembered it. Am I my brother's keeper? What's that movie? Am I my brother's keeper? That's what they said in the movie. Am I my brother's keeper? Right? But that is the keep one molecule, right? So in my mind, I just associated this with that saying, am I my brother's keeper? Right? The keep one is the protector of the protector of the protector. No, it's not Juice. You are trolling. That is not Juice. It's New Jack City. He said Juice. You is trolling. Yes, G Money. Boom. It's G Money and Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. How did M4 say Juice? Juice is with Tupac. Yeah, Juice is with Tupac. But anyway, so here's the NRF2, right? So in the diagram that they show, the oxidative stress is going to attack here, which is going to lead to the NRF2 leaving and then coming into the nucleus here. And once it gets into the nucleus, that's when gene transcription, right? And gene transcription simply means that the antioxidant genes are switched on. And so because they're switched on, now your cells will start to synthesize those proteins and mobilize those enzymes to defend your cell and fight off whatever this thing is, right? Fight off whatever this is, right? Because this can be any number of chemicals from your food, your drinks, your get high or whatever it is that you got going on, or something you breathed in from the environment or whatever it is. But these are usually chemicals, right? These are usually chemicals. Typically, the NRF2 is not going to be able to protect you as much from like a bacteria or virus. Now, bacteria and cells normally have shootouts. So in the shootout, the NRF2 system will still protect you. And what I mean by shootout is that's another mnemonic device for me, just hood stuff. But bacterias and natural human healthy cells, when I say shootout, it's literally a shootout. Your cell starts releasing stuff to kill them, and the bacteria cell will start releasing stuff back to your cell to kill, to damage your cell, whatever the case may be. So it is really much like a shootout, right? And those toxins or those inflammatory chemicals that the bacteria may inject at or fire at your cell or whatever the case may be, your NRF2 will be a line of defense against that. But a virus or fungus or something like that that's actually trying to take over the machinery of the cell, that's not really going to be a line of defense. For that, you're going to need like your white blood cells and immunoglobulins and other, HLA system, other parts of the body got to tap in, right? So typically NRF2 system is like chemicals, toxic, cytokines and other things like that. Yeah, reactive oxygen species, but also not just reactive oxygen species, reactive carbon species and reactive nitrogen species. So you have a bunch of different reactive species. You have a bunch of different reactive oxygen species, reactive carbonyl, and reactive nitrogen species floating around in there, right? But again, for the test, you won't need to know all this stuff I'm saying. You just need to know that the NRF2 system is the defense mechanism of the cell. That's all you would need to know. If I ask you what's the NRF2 system and you say, you failed, right? Because a person that you're just introducing, if a person just get this book and you tell them, oh yeah, I've been following Inky for a year. I've been with Inky for 5 years. And they go and they listen to you like, yeah, go get that Codex. Ooh, and they go get the book. And they like, yeah, okay, so you've been following Inky for how long? Okay, yeah, well, I was reading the book and it says something about like the NRF2 system. What is that? Yeah, it can't sound like that. It can't be crickets. It can't be, yo, Inky is on YouTube. Just go watch the video. He got a bunch of videos on that where he gonna break it down. Like, no. You have to be able to explain to them the NRF2 system, right? You got to be able to explain it to them. And then it's easy if you just understand what the NRF2 system is and what it does to then be able to walk them through wherever they are in the book. Because that's the easier question to be able to tackle it. Be like, where you see that at? What page you on? And they'll be like, oh, well, I'm on page 1, whatever. I'm on page, let me see. What's that page we were just on? They might be like, oh, well, I'm on page 123. Right? And it's saying something about the glutathione and oh, yeah, well, the NRF2 system works with the glutathione to protect your cells from toxins. And that's it. Boop. Yeah. Anything else outside of that, I'm sure either you or the person you're talking to got a smartphone, so you can get deeper, pull it up. Nothing we talking about is made up or fake science or chakras and whatever, gobbledygook. So everything we saying is verifiable. You got a phone in your pocket. You can go, oh, no. This protects your cells, blah, 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 blah. Here, let's pull it up. And when you're able to pull up these things and what you're saying lines up with what the book is saying, lines up with whatever you source that they're comfortable with, that they think is whenever that lines up, the conversation gets more easy. Because we're dealing with people in the health space, and people in the health space, especially the Black health space, they've mixed in chakras and yogas and all kind of different foolishness that's not necessarily scientific. So when you talk to somebody, they're automatically going to put you in that space. And so you have to work your way out of that space. So you have to be able to show them the science, boop, bop, bop, and line that right on up. Like, no, this is what that is. And then show them in the book, oh, this is the, okay, bet. And then pull it right on up. Like, okay, well, let's go to whatever, Library of Medicine, the Journal of this or that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Your dad's a doctor, your mom's a whoever. Just hit him up. Ask them, yeah. This ain't a secret. We ain't got to hide it. Like, yeah, ask anybody. This is how this works in the cells. This is, yeah, you can confirm this anywhere. Anybody that knows anything knows this is what this is. This is how this works. This is not a doo-doo detox thing we talking about where you're going to do, like, this is none of that. This is none of that. This ain't the 80s or the 70s where you have to be like, oh, well, I got to detox, but I don't talk to anyone about it because it's, some fake made up gobbledygook. You can absolutely talk to anybody about the NRF2 system. Yeah. Because the NRF2 system's a real thing. Right? And in fact, let me show you what you will pull up if you were to do that, right? So let's go back over here. I typed in NRF2. I'm going to add system to it, NRF2 system, right? Here's AI again, a cellular pathway that protects against oxidative and inflammatory stress by activating the transcription factor NRF2, which in turn triggers the production of antioxidant and detoxification enzymes. Great. Here we go. National Institute of Health, right? National Library of Medicine. They're not going to say anything different. They're not going to say anything different, right? They're going to confirm exactly what you're saying, right? Who else? Journal of Nature. The Journal of Nature is not going to say anything different. They're going to confirm exactly what you're saying, right? Who else? Science Direct. Science Direct is not going to say anything different. They're going to confirm exactly what you're saying, right? So you don't have to be nervous or scared or weird. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that may be weird is that people may look at you like, how do you know this information? They're going to look at you crazy. Because at first they're going to think you crazy because it sounds like you're making up something. But then after you verify it to them, they're going to be looking at you a whole different. The crazy's not going to wear off. They're going to think you crazy first because they thinking you making it up. Then they'll think you crazy because how you know this? Yeah, you ain't go to school for the where you get this from? And then if you tell them you got it from me, oh, forget about it. They're going to definitely think you crazy because how do I know all this stuff? Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, somebody was like, they have an Eat Right book. They look at the Eat Right book totally different because, you know, over time, the book has aged really well. Like a lot of the stuff in there, people have learned over time and got more familiar. But definitely those are sources. There's a bunch of sources. Let me see. Let's look at sulfur sources for. This is something that you got to be able to pose a good question to the Google. Let's see. This might be a bad question. Sulfur sources for antioxidants. Okay, so this is giving us food. Here we go. Right there. Cysteine and methionine. Right? Cysteine and methionine is the main two things. Cysteine and methionine. Yeah. Cysteine and methionine. Glutamate is a part, right? But it's not parcel. It's not a part and parcel. Glutamate is a part, but it's not the parcel, right? Glutamate is there, but glutamate is also involved in a lot of different things. Neurotransmitters, nefarious, toxic activity, cancer, like glutamate is all over the place. Glutamate is all over the place. So you can't really nail down glutamate. You know, I spent some of my early years, I was like, okay, so glutamate is the devil. Yeah, we need to get rid of glutamate by any means necessary. But yeah, that's not necessarily the case either because you need glutamate. You need glutamate, right? So it's just a matter of the source, where you're getting it from, what it's coupled with, all of those good things. But typically, your sulfurs are going to be a part of your antioxidant system. right? So don't forget methionine in there. Don't forget methionine in there. But that's getting deep. You know what I'm saying? That's you getting deep, right? You don't need that for now. Trust me, there will be a time for that for the other degrees. Now let me read this. Let me read this so we can go over the layout of, because I know some of y'all are talking about these books, right? The study guides, right? There are 12 different degrees. There are 12 different degrees, right? But there are not 12 different tests. Is that other one? Living to be 1,000 biblical years. God said eat the green plants with seeds in it. Okay, so let me read this. Let me read this. Okay. Study guide purpose, right? So this is in the Temple Architect degree book. If you have this book, right, it gives you a outline in the beginning on page 30. It says, using a study guide to prepare for a final exam on a book as complex and extensive as the Codex can be extremely helpful for a number of reasons. Structure and focus. Hold on. Boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. Boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. Let me get right to the you dig. Okay, scratch that. Not page 30, page 40. Right? Skip to page 40. All right. Use a highlighter, blah, 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 blah. All right. There are 3 electrician certificates. There is 1 engineer certificate. Then there's an architect certificate. Residency or internship may begin at any time. Most people are running around teaching health information anyway via the zillion posts of gobbledygook on social media every second. This will establish some guidelines, some factual criteria, and help move the world in the right direction with that insatiable need. Yes, we all have the need to teach and learn about our bodies. Just most of us are ill-equipped. The more you learn, the better equipped you will become. You can use these books to open up your own seminary, juice bar, gym, health spa of sorts, etc. You should hang your degrees on the wall and demonstrate the 60 and 60 as your credentials. Get you a video of you performing your 60 and 60. That way, if anything ever happens and you can no longer perform the 60 and 60, it's documented that you did it. So you have those certificates, right? Then we talk about temple architects. Temple architects are certified ministers of the Codex, right? Certified ministers of the Codex. Now, in a normal sense, we'd like to go through the early degrees first and then the Codex, but for our specific needs, we are going Codex first. We're going Codex first because in order to get a more specific grasp on all of the different questions and answers it's going to be, we have the American Healer Volume 1 and 2. American Healer Files Volume 1 and 2, where we go into much more specifics on the biochemistry part. And that's where all of those more complicated answers that you see Kyle and Peyton and Paul and some of the people, M4, that's where that information will become relevant, right? That's where I'll be looking for more complex ideas to be memorized and be on tap and some of that stuff. But to be able to sit down and just go through the Codex with some folks and have some conversations and sound knowledgeable, you don't need to have the Krebs cycle totally remembered and remember ions and valences and all kinds of other stuff. Kyle, that's how Kyle, nope, that Kyle just been like that since the very first time Kyle jumped in the chat. Yeah, Kyle just, that's just how, yeah, Kyle just, yeah. He's one of them kids. Yeah, I was one of them kids. You know what I'm saying? So it never changes. You know, when you're in school, after a while, the teacher be like, put your hand down. Don't you say nothing else. Let the other children get a chance. Like, well, they don't got the answer. I got the answer. Exactly. That's why we need you to stop giving the answer, because we know you got the answer. But these slow dummies in the front, like, wait a minute. Are you supposed to say that as a teacher? My second grade. Was that second grade? No. That was my sixth grade teacher, Miss Francis. She was wow. She used to cuss us out and everything. Yeah. She got fired, though. But that was one of the best teachers I ever had. She got fired. She definitely got fired. She was wild. I think she used to be high in school. But Miss Francis was wild. Yeah, see, we all, and those be the best teachers. Those be the best teachers, the ones that let it all hang out, because for some reason we resonate with them. You know what I'm saying? They remind us of our moms, our aunties, our uncles. You know, they remind us of family. But yeah, so don't panic. You don't got to get, you don't have to go into, that's the reason why there's books. The reason why there's books is so that you can learn at your own pace, but you do kind of will need the books though. So some of us know that a few days ago, all the books were gone. We woke up, we went to sleep one day and we had 150 books on Amazon. We woke up the next day and there were no books on Amazon. Yeah. So books are back on Amazon. Act accordingly. You had to grab them joints. You had to grab them joints when they disappear. Period. You know what I'm saying? Because, you just got to grab them joints. I ain't even going to explain. Right? What's understood doesn't need to be explained. Is that how it goes? What's understood doesn't need to be explained. Something to that effect. You know what I'm talking about. Kyle be pushing me to work. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yo, you said Kyle be pushing you to work. Kyle be pushing me to work. But no, that's what teamwork make the dream work. We all together. Yeah, we all together. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we all take turns being the smart guy in the class. Sometimes we all take turns being the dumb guy in the front. You know what I'm saying? But that's the beauty of having a team. You know what I'm saying? You can rely on, learn from, you know what I'm saying? Pick up, that's why we're trying to make sure we get Kyle to commit to doing this architecture show. the mason and the architect. Don't think we forgot, Kyle. We on your bumper, champ. Yeah, we on your bumper, champ. Yeah. Yeah, and then we got the quiet guys in the back. We don't know what they test papers say. Right? We don't know. That test paper could say A+ or F-. We don't know what they test papers say. Right? Quiet kids. Some of them quiet kids be geniuses. Some of them quiet kids be waiting to shoot the school up. All right. But I think we got it, though. I think we got the NRF2 system and everything else. Right? I think we went over some of the books. We mentioned some books. Right? We mentioned some books. Yeah, and only 2 hours. That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. Only 2 hours. So now we're getting ready to get on up out of here. Now we ready to get up out of here. Song requests. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm getting ready to jump right over here.
Pages stack like bricks, towers of my mind. Ink bleeds wisdom, time after time. Most health books, they call me the king. No one pen more chapters, hear the echoes ring. Fingers to the keys, build a legacy. Lonely nights, just a grinding me. Lay like flicker, shadow on the wall. Ideas immortal, standing 10 feet tall. Living legend, you are what you think.
Inky prayer number 2. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set ourselves into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Codex HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Codex HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath, and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Codex HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Codex HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the most holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and our caves.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.